This is the Mary Kay jacket. I named this after a friend of mine in Louisville, Mary Crescent. She brought me this jacket and I copied it. So I'm going to show you how simple this is to do. Now let's go to the dress form, because on the dress form I have the ribbon jacket. And you've watched the video, hopefully. Maybe you've already made this ribbon jacket. This is kind of the same thing, but we're doing it with bias strips of sheer fabric instead of ribbons. So let me show you how this is done, because we need a yoke in this one. So first of all, great step-by-step directions in the book. So make sure that you follow the pictures in the book. You're going to start, as you start with everything, with your master top pattern. And you need patternies to make yourself a new pattern for this one. Again, you can buy that on my website, and you can buy as many yards as you need. So we need the sleeve. This depends on what you're going to make it out of. I have it made with a knit. I'm using a knit fabric, but if you're using a woven fabric, remember that you need to convert this pattern into a woven. Go back to chapter 2, it tells you how to do that. So we're going to start with the knit top pattern, but I'm going to make a yoke, and I want to show you how to do that because it's really simple to do. And you can use this yoke idea in a lot of other things. In fact, let me bring this back up. In fact, there's a yoke in the jacket to tote. You can follow the directions for making that yoke. I like yokes because, again, it gives you some place to put something different. So this is my master front, all right? So let me put this under here, like this. Now, here's the difference between this jacket and other jackets. I want this part right here to be the center front. I want this to kiss. Like that. Because when you put a band on both sides, that's where you're adding. So you don't need to add anything to your front at all. You just need a front. So I'm going to put this on the straight edge of the patternies, like this. Because this will be on the fold. And when I draw, let me pull this up here. When I draw, I'm going to take my ruler. You decide where you want the yoke to be. Now, where the yoke is going to be is where you're going to start your ruffle. So that's your decision as to where you want that to be. I'm going to go down first and show you what about 5 inches would be. And 5 inches would be right here. So let me draw this all the way across. And then I'm going to follow the pattern itself. Like this. Let me move this over just a bit. Like this and like this. Now that's your yoke. That wasn't very hard, was it? Now, when you cut this apart, you have to add a 1/2 inch because you need to put these two back together. So I'm going to add this 1/2 inch for you right now so that you can see that. All right? Then when you cut this piece apart, you need to add a 1/2 inch. Remember, in all of these fun things that we're doing, you always need to add a 1/2 inch to put it back together because it needs to equal exactly what you started with. And this is your master pattern. So it needs to equal what you started with. So let me move this out of the way and let me show you how we're going to put this together. Now, you're going to cut a back. That's an easy one. You know how to cut a back because the back is going to be exactly the same unless you're using woven fabric, and then you are going to add to the seam allowance. You need 2 bands, and it tells you the width of the band. The band has to be the length of the jacket. That's what this is right here where you see the buttons and buttonholes. This band, I have put French fuse on it. Now, I told you this was a knit fabric that I'm using, and French fuse is also a knit. It stretches as well, so you're not losing the wonderful part of your jacket that stretches because French fuse still stretches with it. I sell French fuse on my website, black, white, and beige, 60 inches wide. It's a great buy. Now, this is the front. This is my front. And you can see that I've cut it on the fold, so it's one whole front. So watch how I'm going to make this jacket. This is really fun to do. I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to take my wonderful Kai scissors. If you don't own Kai scissors, please go to their website and purchase them. You will never be sorry for buying Kai scissors because they're wonderful and they stay nice and sharp. And I'm going to cut that right down the middle. So I have 2 fronts. Oh my gosh. Remember, you can put the band in there. So the band is going to be for your buttons and buttonholes. That's going to be your extra across the front. Now, this is the sheer fabric, and you can cut the sheer fabric as wide or as narrow as you would like, but I do give you a suggestion. Now, the sheer fabric, when you're working with this, I've done a rolled hem stitch on my serger. Again, that's totally up to you as to how you want to finish it. The nice part about these sheer stretch fabrics is they don't ravel, so you wouldn't even have to finish the edge if you didn't want to. I like it because I can actually gather it slightly when you do it on the serger, so just slightly pull on your sheer fabric while you're doing the rolled hem stitch, and it works really, really well. Now, let me show you what it's going to look like after they're on your fabric. Now, let me show you something really interesting with this. These are all glued on. Every one of these have been glued on all the way across. When you glue things like this, I suggest you work with one at a time. So I started at the top, and this is where it's going to go into the yoke. And all I did was to glue this strip on with the glue stick. Make sure you use a fabric glue stick. And then I went to the next one, and then I went to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Now, one thing I did do, and this is totally up to you as well, is I drew in chalk where the next one was going to be. I love rulers because rulers, any kind of ruler or yardstick, is already a width and it's a hard surface for you to follow. So I don't measure each one. Can you see that's exactly what I've done, is to follow the width of the yardstick? There are no rules to this. You get to make your own rules. That's the fun of sewing. So I've literally, this is between, I drew a line, a chalk line, where I was going to put the next ruffle. So all the ruffles are on. So this is the front of my jacket, glue stick. So let me show you what we're going to do with this. This is really fun. I'm going to fold this in half. Please don't panic, because when I fold this in half, I'm going to press a crease in it, a really good crease, so that you can see where you're going. Then I'm going to open it up, and I think you can see this crease. But let me pull this up like that. There's the crease, right there. All right? So I'm going to cut right on that crease. Now remember, this is not the center front of your garment, because the center front of your garment is where those bands are. So when I turn this over, this is one front, and this is the other front. Isn't that cool? And then the yoke will be at the top. So let me get the yoke, and I'll show you what that's going to look like. And you can look. So when I put let me put this down. When I seam the yoke to it, that's what's going to look like. So each one of these ruffles has hidden the top of the next ruffle, but the yoke hides the one at the very top. And that is your Mary Kay jacket. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now it's time to check out the website. Everything is on there. You can purchase the pattern, the book, all the notions I talked about. You can join the Fit Club and check out the classes where I'm teaching. And be sure to follow me on Facebook.